So imagine you're a high net worth expatriate, right? Let's just put you in that mindset for a second. You're based in Dubai.
No.
You have, zero income tax. You are living in this booming, hyper-modern economy. You have unparalleled global connectivity right at your doorstep. You are basically, by all conventional metrics, standing at the absolute pinnacle of the modern professional world.
Right.
So why are you suddenly wiring millions of dollars to buy a luxury penthouse 3,000 miles away in Bangkok?
It's a brilliant question.
Mm-hmm.
And it completely subverts the traditional way we think about expatriate life.
Exactly. Because normally when we think about relocation, we treat it like a breakup. It's a binary choice.
Yeah, you pack up and leave.
Right. You pack your boxes, you forward your mail, you leave your keys on the counter, and you just commit entirely to a new destination. Yeah. You are a Londoner or you're a New Yorker. Oh. You live in Singapore or you live in Sydney. But when you actually look at the movements of the global ultra-wealthy today, that binary model completely falls apart. You aren't breaking up with your city. You're collecting them.
And that shift from a substitution mindset to an accumulation mindset is fundamentally rewiring global real estate.
Yeah.
You aren't swapping out your old operating system.
Yeah.
You're expanding your network.
Which brings us perfectly to the source material we're jumping into for today's deep dive. We have this 2026 briefing published by CondoDee, and it's titled Relocating to Bangkok, Property Guide for Dubai Expats.
It's a fascinating document.
It really is. And our mission today is to unpack exactly why globally mobile professionals, entrepreneurs, high net worth families, are strategically pairing these two specific cities. Mm-hmm. We're going to break down the exact lifestyle math, the family infrastructure, and crucially, the actual legal mechanics of how a foreigner legally buys property in Thailand. Because as we're going to see, it is absolutely not as simple as just writing a check.
Oh, far from it. And what's fascinating here is that the underlying premise of this CondoDee briefing is it's not a narrative about finding a cheaper place to live.
Right.
That is the trap a lot of casual observers fall into, when they hear about capital moving from the Middle East to Southeast Asia.
They think it's a downgrade.
Exactly. But when you look at the wealth demographics of Dubai, these are not individuals who are being priced out of their own market.
No, definitely not.
They are making a highly calculated, highly aggressive decision about global wealth diversification. It's about strategic lifestyle portfolio building.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if you are sitting in a penthouse in Dubai, which is arguably the most dynamic, fast-moving business hub on the planet right now.
Yeah, without a doubt.
The decision to look east really needs to be justified. And the source text argues that Dubai and Bangkok serve fundamentally different but complementary functions in a global lifestyle strategy. It describes Dubai as the fast-moving Middle Eastern business hub with a mature ecosystem for professionals. But then it pivots, and it says Bangkok offers a, quote, softer but extremely compelling proposition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to be honest, when I read the word softer in a business context, my initial reaction is to equate that with less serious or, less sophisticated.
Yeah, and that would be a critical misreading of the landscape.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Softer in this context is doing a lot of heavy lifting, but it absolutely does not mean less sophisticated. In fact, it means a lifestyle that isn't entirely defined by corporate velocity.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Think about the daily reality of Dubai. It is phenomenal at what it does. It is a magnet for capital, it has incredible futuristic infrastructure, and it moves at lightning speed.
Right.
But living at lightning speed requires a certain kind of compression. Everything is high intensity. Every interaction is networking. Every dinner is a pitch.
Oh, totally. It's exhausting.
Exactly. Bangkok provides a release valve for that pressure.
Yeah.
But crucially, it provides that release valve without requiring a single drop in your living standards.
Reading through this briefing, a specific analogy came to mind. It feels like we are talking about two very different types of high-end vehicles.
Okay, I like where this is going.
So Dubai is the engine room, right?
Yeah.
It's a high-performance track car. It is high RPMs. It's all about maximum output, maximum growth, scaling your business, and just dominating your sector.
Right.
But Bangkok acts as the expansive executive lounge, or maybe like a grand tour.
Yes.
You still have a massive V12 engine under the hood. You still have incredible power, but the suspension is tuned for comfort.
That's a great way to put it.
You have regional connectivity across Asia, you have incredible luxury, and you don't have that constant high-pressure compression of the primary hub. You aren't constantly redlining the engine just to go to the grocery store,
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you really have to look at the geographic reality of this pairing. High net worth individuals seek diversification, not just in asset classes like equities and bonds, but in their actual geographic footprint. Bangkok physically sits right in the center of a Middle East to Asia lifestyle corridor.
Right, the location is key.
The briefing specifically highlights Bangkok's airline connectivity, and this is a vital point. This isn't just a place to go sit on a beach in Phuket for 2 weeks.
It's an operational base.
Exactly. From Suvarnabhumi Airport, you have immediate, direct, short-haul access to massive financial centers. We're talking Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Shanghai.
So if you are a global CEO or a major investor, you can effectively run your Asian operations out of Bangkok while your Middle Eastern or European operations continue to run out of Dubai.
Precisely. For a globally mobile entrepreneur, Thailand offers a highly useful geographic bridge. You spend the winter months in Dubai handling the EME markets, Europe, Middle East, Africa.
Right, because the weather's perfect then.
Right. The time zones align, the flight paths make sense, and then you spend the rest of the year in Bangkok handling the APAC markets. You aren't leaving Dubai behind, you are completing the circle. You have the engine room and you have the grand tour.
But let's get into the actual math of this, because this is where my eyebrows really went up.
Yeah, the numbers are striking.
If Dubai is the engine and Bangkok is the lounge, what exactly does the reality look like when you take a Dubai budget and deploy it into the Bangkok luxury market? The briefing breaks this down to 4 specific expense categories, right? Housing value, dining and entertainment, household staffing, and overall cost of living.
Right.
And the core premise is that in Bangkok, the exact same amount of capital buys you significantly more square meters, much higher building service levels, and vastly easier access to full-time domestic support.
It alters the daily operational feel of a household entirely.
I hear that, but I've got to push back here for a second.
Sure.
Because when I'm reading through a luxury real estate brochure and I see terms like lifestyle value and space-to-cost proposition, my cynical translation matrix kicks in.
You think it's marketing speak.
Right. Isn't lifestyle value just a highly polite, very sanitized corporate term for saying, well, it's cheaper?
It's a very fair challenge, but it fundamentally misunderstands the psychology of this specific demographic.
Oh, so?
When an affluent buyer moves capital from Dubai to Bangkok, they are almost never looking to reduce their baseline budget.
Okay.
They aren't saying to their wealth manager, I want to spend 50% less on my primary residence this year.
Right, they're penny pinching.
Exactly. They are saying, if I deploy this exact same multi-million-dollar budget in this new market, how do I maximize my personal utility? They are reallocating to maximize the experience, not to save pennies.
Okay, put me in that scenario. Give me a practical example of how that exact budget reallocation plays out on the ground.
Okay, let's say you have a specific high-tier budget for a premium residence in Dubai, say 5 or 6 million dirhams.
Okay, a solid budget.
That budget gets you a fantastic, highly desirable property. You might be in downtown Dubai or the marina, but it might be relatively compact.
Right.
It might be a beautiful 3-bedroom in a prestigious branded tower, but you are still very much living in an apartment. Your spatial footprint is constrained by the sheer premium of the zip code.
Sure, you pay for the location.
Right. Now, if you take that exact same capital outlay and apply it to prime Bangkok real estate, the entire paradigm shifts.
What does it buy me?
You aren't buying a 3-bedroom apartment anymore. You are purchasing a massive, sprawling, branded luxury layout. You might be looking at a multi-level penthouse.
Wow.
You have a private lift that opens directly into your foyer. You have a private swimming pool on your balcony. You have panoramic, unobstructed views of Lumpini Park.
So you are trading a premium, highly finished, compact space for an absolutely palatial space without spending an extra dime.
Yes. But the text points out that this lifestyle value extends far beyond the physical real estate itself. It's the human service infrastructure around the real estate.
The staffing.
Exactly. In Dubai, maintaining full-time, live-in household staff, a dedicated driver, a full-time maid, a live-in nanny, it's certainly possible, and many do it, but it comes at a very high structural premium.
Right, the visa costs alone.
The visa costs, the housing requirements, the salaries, the paperwork. In Bangkok, that level of full-time domestic support is fundamentally easier to structure, source, and maintain at scale.
The briefing specifically mentions that premium dining and leisure in Dubai require a significantly higher regular budget, whereas in Bangkok, Michelin-starred dining and luxury hospitality are just widely accessible baseline expectations.
Yeah, it's baked into the culture.
Think about what that actually means for your daily stress levels, You're sitting in Dubai paying a massive premium for a very fast-paced, high-stress lifestyle in a beautiful but constrained space. And you realize that for the exact same monthly operational cost, you could be living in a massive Bangkok penthouse with a private elevator, a driver waiting downstairs with the engine running, and a reservation at a Michelin-star restaurant that didn't require you to call in a massive favor just to get a table.
And that right there is the utility maximization we are talking about. You haven't lowered your standard of living. You have exponentially increased the friction-free nature of your daily life.
Nice.
You have essentially bought back your time and your mental bandwidth through the deployment of household services that are simply more structurally accessible and culturally ingrained in Thailand.
That makes total sense if you are a single entrepreneur or maybe a couple. A massive condo, a private lift, amazing restaurants every night. I mean, it sounds like an absolute dream.
It is.
But what happens when you introduce a family into this equation? Because the moment you are relocating kids, I don't care how many Michelin stars a city has or how big the private pool is, those things take a backseat immediately.
Oh, instantly.
The priorities violently shift to healthcare and education. And this leads us directly into what the briefing calls the soft infrastructure of the city.
Which is arguably the single most critical variable for the demographic we are discussing today. If the schools and the hospitals aren't world-class, this entire dual city strategy collapses instantly.
Right. You just won't do it.
You cannot have the engine room in Dubai and an executive lounge in Bangkok if the lounge doesn't have a pediatric wing that you trust implicitly with your child's life.
And according to the text, Bangkok is an absolute powerhouse in this regard. The briefing explicitly names some of the top-tier private hospitals: Bumrungrad International, Bangkok Hospital, Samanavej, B&H.
World-class facilities.
But the detail that completely stopped me in my tracks was when the text described the service culture of these hospitals. It talks about a hospitality model of Thai medicine.
Yes.
Now, I need you to explain this to me, because when I think of a hospital, I think of institutional medicine. I think of cold linoleum floors, harsh fluorescent lights, taking a number, sitting in a plastic chair, and waiting.
This is one of the starkest contrasts you will find globally, and it's a massive draw for the internationally mobile.
Okay.
The hospitality model of healthcare in Bangkok means that these hospitals are structured, designed, and operated more like five-star hotels than traditional medical institutions.
That's a hotel.
Exactly. When you walk into a facility like Bumrungrad or Samanavej, you aren't greeted by a triage nurse behind bulletproof glass. You are greeted by multilingual concierges.
Wow.
The aesthetic is warm, the lighting is soft, the lobbies often feature grand pianos and premium coffee shops.
Okay, hold on. A grand piano in a hospital lobby. Does the five-star hotel vibe mask a lack of hard medical infrastructure? Because if I'm dealing with a serious medical issue, I don't care about the piano. I care about clinical outcomes.
It's a natural skepticism, but the data and the accreditations completely refute it. The ethos here is that medical care shouldn't just be about clinical excellence, which these hospitals absolutely have, by the way.
Right.
They are heavily staffed by internationally board-certified specialists, many of whom trained in the US, the UK, or Australia.
Okay, so the talent is there.
Oh, absolutely. But the Thai philosophy is that clinical excellence should be paired with patient experience and comfort. They don't see those two things as mutually exclusive.
Interesting.
For a family used to the very high polished standards of Dubai, this guarantees there is zero drop-off in the quality of care. In fact, many expats find that routine care and specialized care in Bangkok are actually more accessible.
How so? Walk me through the mechanics of that accessibility.
In many Western systems, even premium private ones, you are fighting through layers of bureaucracy, referrals, and waiting lists just to see a specialist.
Yeah, it can take weeks.
In the Thai concierge model, that friction is removed. If you need an MRI and a consultation with a top-tier neurologist, the concierge desk facilitates it, often on the same day, within the same building.
Same day.
Same day. You are escorted from suite to suite. It is highly personalized, highly efficient care.
That completely reframes how you think about a medical visit. It's not an ordeal you have to mentally prepare for. It's a high-end service.
Exactly.
And the text highlights that this frictionless transfer extends to the education sector as well. Bangkok's international school ecosystem is incredibly mature. The briefing names schools like NIST, Bangkok Patana, Harrow International, and SISB. But what caught my eye is the emphasis on the flexibility between British and IB international baccalaureate curriculums. Why is that specific detail so important to highlight for a Dubai expat?
Because it addresses the single biggest point of friction for a relocating family. Academic continuity.
Right.
If you are living a dual city or multi-city life, you cannot have your children losing academic credits or repeating years every time you shift your primary base.
That would be a nightmare.
It would. Dubai has a heavily saturated market of top-tier British and IB curriculum schools. Bangkok mirrors that exact ecosystem.
So if your 14-year-old is halfway through their GCSEs or their IB middle years program in Dubai, you can seamlessly transition them to a school like Harrow or NIST in Bangkok. The curriculum maps perfectly.
Exactly. The academic calendar, the testing standards, the pedagogical approach, it all aligns. The child doesn't lose a step academically.
That's huge.
And the text notes a very pragmatic financial reality.
Yeah.
The competitive tuition for these top-tier schools in Bangkok effectively solves the relocation equation for parents.
The math just works.
It does. When you combine the massive upgrade in housing space with the equivalent or even slightly lower costs for equivalent top-tier schooling, the map works on a highly practical family planning level.
So if we pause and look at what we've established so far, the lifestyle is unparalleled, the square footage you get for your money is massive, the hospitals have grand pianos and same-day MRIs, and the schools allow your kids to seamlessly transfer their IB credits. It sounds like an absolute expat utopia. And this is but none of it matters. None of it means a thing if you can't actually get into the country, stay there long term, or legally own the property you want to buy.
That is the hard truth.
It is time to talk about the law. And this is where the dream meets reality.
Yes. The legal landscape is where the theoretical beauty of this relocation strategy hits the hard, unyielding reality of sovereign regulation.
Right.
Thailand is incredibly welcoming to tourists, but when it comes to foreign ownership of its land, it is fiercely protective.
The briefing outlines two main visa routes for these affluent expats. The Thailand Privilege Visa, which used to be known as the Elite Visa, and the Long-Term Resident Visa, or the LTR. But before we even touch the visas, I want to dive deep into the property laws, because if you are moving millions of dollars, you need to know what you actually own.
Crucial.
The text outlines a four-step reality of foreign property ownership in Thailand. And the big flashing headline is this: foreigners can buy freehold condominiums, but only up to 49% of the building's saleable area.
Yes. The famous, or infamous, depending on who you ask, 49% rule.
Here's where it gets really interesting. When I read this 49% rule, I immediately pictured a highly exclusive VIP section in a massive nightclub.
Okay, I like that.
You have this beautiful, towering condominium building, and foreign buyers are allowed past the velvet rope to buy a unit outright. You get the freehold title, your name is on the deed forever, you can pass it to your kids.
Right.
But the building management is standing at the door with a clicker. And the exact second that the total square footage owned by foreigners hits 49% of the building's total capacity, the bouncer drops the velvet rope.
Yep.
You cannot buy a freehold unit in that building anymore. It does not matter who you are. It does not matter if you are a billionaire. It does not matter how much cash you have in a briefcase. You are legally locked out of the freehold quota.
That is a highly accurate and very visceral analogy. The Thai Condominium Act is exceptionally rigid on this point. By law, foreigners may collectively own up to 49% of the total saleable area of a condominium project on a freehold basis.
Right.
The remaining 51% must be owned by Thai nationals or Thai corporate entities.
Why 49%? Why not 50-50?
Because 51% guarantees majority voting rights within the building's juristic person, essentially the HOA.
Ah, okay. Control.
Exactly. It ensures that the majority ownership, and therefore the control of any given vertical community, remains strictly domestic.
That makes a lot of sense from their perspective.
It is a brilliant piece of legislation from the Thai perspective because it allows foreign capital to flow into the real estate sector and fund development. But it completely prevents foreign entities from ever taking majority control of the land the building sits on. For an international buyer, it changes your entire approach. Your very first question to a real estate agent isn't, do you have a unit with a nice view of the river? Your first question must be, is there foreign quota available in this building?
Because if you walk in, fall in love with a penthouse, start picking out furniture in your head, but the building is already at its 49% foreign capacity, you're out of luck. You literally cannot buy it freehold.
You cannot. You might be able to negotiate a long-term leasehold, typically 30 years, but for the buyers we're talking about, buyers looking for legacy wealth preservation and tangible generational asset ownership, a leasehold is almost never the goal.
Yeah, they want their name on the deed.
Furthermore, the text makes a very clear, very hard distinction between condominiums and landed houses.
Right. The text explicitly states that foreigners typically cannot buy landed houses or villas without incredibly complex leasehold structures or convoluted corporate legal arrangements. So if you want the straightforward, my name is on the title deed forever and I can sleep soundly at night ownership, you are looking at condominiums, period.
Exactly. Condominiums are the legislated, government-approved, frictionless path for foreign capital to enter the Thai real estate market. Anything else requires a tolerance for legal ambiguity that most smart wealth managers will advise against.
Okay, so let's put me back in the scenario. I'm the Dubai expat. I find a luxury condo I love. The agent checks, and the building is only at 30% foreign ownership. The velvet rope is open.
Okay.
I am ready to buy. I just open my banking app in Dubai, enter the seller's account number, and wire the money right.
If you do that, you have just initiated a disaster.
Wait, really?
Oh, absolutely. And this brings us to what is arguably the most critical technical detail in the entire CondoDee briefing, the foreign exchange transaction form, or the AET.
The text says this is not just a minor paperwork detail. It says it is absolutely central to a successful foreign transaction. But it just sounds like a bank receipt. Why is this specific piece of paper so vital?
This raises an important question about how sovereign nations track, verify, and benefit from foreign direct investment. The Thai government has a very specific mandate.
Okay.
If a foreigner is going to be granted freehold ownership of Thai property under that 49% quota, the country must benefit from an injection of fresh foreign capital.
Right, it has to be new money coming in.
Therefore, the government requires absolute, undeniable proof that the money being used for the purchase originated from outside of Thailand, and crucially, that it entered the country as foreign currency.
So wait, let's say I've been working in Bangkok for a few years. I have a Thai bank account filled with millions of Thai baht that I earned legally. I can't just take that Thai baht and use it to buy a condo under the foreign quota.
No, you cannot.
Wow.
If you are buying under the foreign quota, the funds must cross the international border in a foreign currency, like US dollars, euros, or Emirati dirhams, and then be converted into Thai baht by the receiving Thai bank inside Thailand. When the local Thai bank executes that currency conversion, they issue a foreign exchange transaction form. This document explicitly proves to the Land Department that imported foreign capital was used for the purchase.
Okay.
Without that specific piece of paper from the bank, the Land Department will simply look at you and refuse to transfer the title deed into your name.
I was reading this section and trying to find the loophole, but the system is airtight.
Yeah.
If I open my banking app in Dubai and I tell my Dubai bank to send the money in Thai baht, maybe because I want to lock in a good exchange rate on my end.
Yes, very common mistake.
I've effectively locked my own capital in legal purgatory, right?
Right.
Because I bypassed the FAT requirement.
Precisely. If your Dubai bank does the conversion and sends Thai baht, the Thai bank receives baht. They didn't do a foreign exchange conversion, so they won't issue an FET.
Oh, no.
You now have millions of dollars sitting in a Thai bank account. The seller wants their money, but you can't get the title deed because you don't have the FET.
So you're just stuck.
Your transaction is completely paralyzed, and reversing international wire transfers of that size is an absolute nightmare. It is an anti-money laundering mechanism, and it's a way to ensure the foreign quota is actually enriching the domestic economy.
This is why you cannot just cowboy your way through a property purchase in a foreign jurisdiction. You need local legal coordination. You need a guide who knows where the landmines are.
Absolutely. You need trusted Thai lawyers and knowledgeable brokers, which is exactly the value proposition that groups like CondoDee are highlighting.
Let's loop back to the visas briefly before we look at the neighborhoods, because this ties directly into the legal landscape.
Sure.
If I navigate the FET form and I get the freehold condo in my name, I still need the actual legal right to live in the country. The text contrasts the Thailand privilege visa with the long-term resident visa, and reading between the lines, one sounds like a fast pass and the other sounds like a corporate strategy.
That is exactly how you should look at them. They serve very different strategic purposes for the expat. The Thailand Privilege Program which was formerly called the Elite Visa, is what the text calls a frictionless, lifestyle-oriented route.
The fast pass at the theme park?
Essentially, yes. You pay a one-time membership fee, and you receive a multi-year multiple entry visa.
And the perks?
It comes with perks, like VIP airport fast-track services, where a golf cart picks you up at the gate and zips you through premium immigration lanes. It is an off-the-shelf, highly polished product for someone who wants ultimate convenience, who wants to come and go as they please, and who has absolutely no intention of working locally within Thailand.
But the long-term resident, or LTR visa, is a totally different animal.
The LTR is far more complex. It's designed for wealthy global citizens, wealthy pensioners, or highly skilled professionals in targeted industries. But the key differentiator is that it has profound tax nuances.
Right.
The text is very careful to note that professional tax advice is necessary if you pursue the LTR.
Why? What's the trap?
Because your visa category interacts with your global tax liabilities. If you are a resident of Dubai, you are enjoying a zero income tax environment.
Right, which is the whole point.
If you spend too much time in Thailand under certain visa structures, or if you bring certain types of income into the country, you could inadvertently trigger Thai tax residency. Ouch. The LTR offers certain tax exemptions and benefits, but it requires meticulous structuring. The LTR is for the buyer who is making Thailand a highly structured, permanent part of their global, corporate, or personal tax strategy.
So privilege is for frictionless ease. LTR is for deep strategy.
Got it. Now that we know how to buy the property, how to wire the money without losing our minds, and how to legally stay in the country, the obvious next question is, where exactly are these Dubai expats buying?
Right, the location.
Because the briefing makes it very clear that Bangkok is not a single monolithic market. You can't just say, I want to buy in prime Bangkok any more than you can say, I want to buy in prime London. Exactly. It is a city of highly distinct micro-markets, and treating them as interchangeable is a massive strategic error that can severely impact your investment returns and your daily quality of life.
The briefing gives us a neighborhood deep dive, mapping out 4 distinct districts. Let's take an audio tour. First up, we have Thonglor and Ekmai.
Okay.
The text describes this as the premium lifestyle cluster. It mentions high-end restaurants, boutiques, luxury projects, and massive expat demand. It highlights branded residences like KHUN by UO, the Monument Thonglor, and Tili.
Right.
If you are listening right now, imagine the vibe here. This is for the buyer who wants to step out of their marble lobby and be instantly surrounded by energy. It's vibrant, it's stylish, it's where you go to see and be seen.
From an analytical standpoint, Thonglor and Ekmai attract buyers who are driven by lifestyle immediacy. They want the highest density of premium amenities, the best omakasses, the best cocktail bars, the newest fitness studios within walking distance.
Makes sense.
It's heavily favored by younger, high-net-worth individuals, tech entrepreneurs, and expats who prioritize a highly social, highly visible urban environment. The rental demand here is always strong because every young executive arriving in Bangkok wants to live in Thonglor.
Next, we move down the road to Lang Swan and Plunchit, and the tone of the text shifts dramatically here. It calls this the ultra-prime embassy-side district anchored by Lumpini Park.
Completely different atmosphere.
Right. It specifically mentions buyers focused on long-term wealth preservation and legacy-grade assets. It lists projects like Scope Lang Swan, 28 Chidlum, and Noble Plunchit. This sounds completely different. This sounds like old money. This sounds like buying a pre-war apartment overlooking Central Park in New York, or a townhouse near Hyde Park in London.
That is the exact equivalent. Lang Swan is about prestige, scarcity, and supreme discretion. The presence of massive international embassies and the direct proximity to Lumpini Park means this neighborhood has a hard cap on development density.
They can't just build endlessly.
Exactly. It will never become a sprawling, chaotic, concrete jungle because the land is simply not available to be developed. Therefore, buyers looking at Lang Swan are often legacy family offices or individuals looking to park capital safely for decades.
Right.
They aren't chasing the highest monthly rental yield. They're seeking capital preservation in a neighborhood that will inherently retain its value due to sheer geographic exclusivity.
Okay, so we have Thonglor for lifestyle and energy, Lang Swan for legacy and parks. Then the text takes us to Asoke and the Sukhumvit CBD. It describes this as the transit and office core, a walk-to-work environment popular with buyers prioritizing accessibility and what it calls rental resilience. Projects mentioned here are Munich Sukhumvit 23 and Sealess Asok.
This is your classic, pragmatic investor profile. Asoke is the absolute nexus of Bangkok. It is where the two main mass transit lines, the BTS SkyTrain and the MRT subway, physically intersect.
Crosshairs of the city.
It is arguably the most connected node in the entire city. Buyers here are highly analytical. They know that a high-quality condo near this major interchange will almost never sit empty.
That's the rental resilience part.
Right. Rental resilience means that even in an economic downturn, a property in a soke will find a tenant because the location is universally practical for corporate expats who need to commute to the surrounding office towers.
So if you are sitting in your office in Dubai and you just want a pure investment property in Bangkok that you don't have to worry about marketing or keeping filled, a soke is your safe bet for consistent, reliable yield.
Precisely. You match the neighborhood to your financial intent. You don't buy in a soke for the quiet park views, you buy it for the spreadsheet.
And finally, we have Sathorn and Siloam, the classic financial district, prestige residential towers, central business proximity. The text highlights the Ritz-Carlton residences at Mahanakan, Saladin 1, and Tate Sathorn 12. If I'm listening to this, I'm picturing the Wall Street or the City of London equivalent, but punctuated with massive, ultra-luxury residential towers.
Sathorn appeals heavily to financial professionals, senior executives, and buyers who want immediate proximity to corporate headquarters, but demand an exceptionally high standard of living.
Right.
Buildings like the Ritz-Carlton residences offer branded, hotel-grade services within a residential context. You have valet parking, in-residence dining, dedicated concierge. This is highly appealing to a buyer coming from the luxury, branded ecosystem of Dubai. It feels familiar, it feels like home, but in a different time zone.
So we have matched the buyer to the neighborhood. If you want the park and the legacy, go to Long Swan. If you want the nightlife and the dining, go to Thonglor. If you want the transit yield, go to Asoke. If you want the corporate prestige, go to Sathorn.
Yep, that's the map.
It all seems very logical. But even with all this information, the briefing dedicates a whole section to pointing out that smart, phenomenally wealthy buyers can still make incredibly dumb mistakes when entering a new market.
Oh, it happens constantly. Confidence in one market does not seamlessly translate to competence in another. A master of the Dubai real estate market is still a novice in Bangkok until they learn the rules.
The briefing lists common mistakes foreign buyers make. And I'm going to play the role of the enthusiastic, slightly arrogant, slightly naive buyer here.
All right, let's hear it.
Let's say I've just landed from Dubai. I'm flush with cash. I don't want an apartment. I want a massive, sprawling, landed villa with a huge garden. I found one I love. I don't bother checking any quotas because I'm paying cash, and I just wired the money directly from my phone in local Thai baht because the exchange rate looked good on my app. According to the text, I have just triggered a catastrophic cascade of legal and financial disasters. Let's walk through these 4 critical mistakes.
Well, congratulations. You have essentially committed every cardinal sin outlined in the briefing in one fell swoop. What's fascinating here is how these mistakes all stem from a fundamental lack of local regulatory respect. Let's start with your desire for a villa. Mistake number 1 is confusing condo and landed ownership.
Right.
As we discussed, foreigners cannot generally own land freehold in Thailand. By assuming you can just buy a villa the way you buy a villa in Palm Jumeirah, you're stepping into a complex web of 30-year leaseholds or corporate holding structures that require intense legal scrutiny and constant maintenance.
So I just wasted my own time even looking at the villa if my goal was pure, uncomplicated freehold ownership.
Exactly. You started with the wrong asset class entirely. Then mistake number 2, ignoring the foreign quota. You fell in love with a property without verifying if the 49% freehold limit had been reached.
Because if it has,
your money is useless for a freehold title. You are negotiating for something the seller legally cannot give you.
Mistake number 3 is the big one. The funds transfer.
Yes. By sending the money casually from your phone in Thai baht to save on conversion fees or just out of sheer convenience, you completely bypass the foreign exchange transaction form requirements.
The FET.
The FET, exactly. The land department will look at your transaction, see no FAT from a Thai bank, and block the title transfer. Your capital is now stuck in Thailand, but you do not own the property.
That is a true nightmare scenario. You have millions of dollars sitting in a legal limbo, bleeding opportunity costs just because you didn't include the right paperwork on a wire transfer.
And finally, mistake number 4, underestimating district differences. You bought a unit in a neighborhood because it looked nice on a brochure, treating all of prime Bangkok as interchangeable.
Right.
But as we just mapped out, buyer profiles and rental behaviors differ sharply. If you bought a massive, 4-bedroom family-sized legacy unit in the high-density transit-heavy core of Asoke, you completely misaligned your asset with the neighborhood's typical tenant profile.
Ah, because the Asoke tenant is different.
The Asoke tenant is usually a single executive or a young couple who wants a 1 or 2-bedroom unit near the train. They don't want a massive family estate.
Yeah.
So your beautiful apartment sits empty because you put the wrong product in the wrong location.
This is exactly why the briefing keeps hammering home the absolute necessity of professional coordination. You
Right.
need a guide. You cannot do this alone. But if you do get it right, if you navigate the Fahiti, secure the quota, and pick the right district, the text outlines some incredible investment angles. It mentions buy with tenant options, and it specifically highlights a massive opportunity in renovations. The text says that smart upgrades like modern kitchens, neutral lighting, and digital locks can boost rent yields by 30 to 45%. Let's talk about the psychology behind that massive number. Why is the yield jump so high for just changing some cabinets and lights?
A 30 to 45% yield boost is a staggering figure in mature real estate markets. What this tells us is that there is a severe gap in the secondary market in Bangkok.
Okay, what kind of gap?
Older buildings in prime locations, buildings from the late 90s or early 2000s, often have massive, incredibly well-built floor plans. They have the sprawling space that Dubai buyers crave, but the interior aesthetics are dated. They feature heavy, dark teakwood, closed-off kitchens, and yellow lighting.
And the Dubai Expat tenant, or the London Expat tenant, is used to new builds.
Exactly.
They want floor-to-ceiling glass, open-plan marble kitchens, smart home tech. They cannot tolerate a 1990s time capsule, no matter how big it is.
Right. This creates a massive arbitrage opportunity. An investor can acquire one of these older, massive units at a highly favorable price per square meter, deploy a targeted renovation to bring the aesthetic up to a sleek, modern, international standard, and suddenly capture a massive premium on the rental market because they have created a product that every high-level expat wants. Huge space with modern finishings.
It's brilliant, and the buy with tenant option it mentions seems like the ultimate turnkey strategy. If I'm an investor sitting in a high-rise in Dubai, thousands of miles away, I don't want to deal with marketing a property or vetting tenants.
No, it's a headache.
Buying a unit that already has a vetted, paying tenant living inside means I am generating passive income on day one. I bypass the vacancy period, the broker fees for finding a tenant, and the uncertainty. It transforms international real estate into a highly predictable yield asset.
It removes the friction from the investment cycle, which, as we've seen throughout this entire discussion, is the ultimate goal of this demographic.
So to bring this all together and land the plane, the core thesis of this CondoDee briefing is that Dubai and Bangkok are not competitors in the minds of the global ultra-wealthy. They are complements.
Perfectly said.
Dubai functions as the powerful, high-velocity global business engine. It's where you make the money, scale the enterprise, and operate in a tax-advantaged, fast-paced hub. But Bangkok offers unmatched lifestyle diversification. It offers larger luxury spaces for the exact same capital, a human service culture that is second to none, a hospitality approach to world-class healthcare, and a strategic, legally accessible property investment node right in the heart of the Asian economic corridor.
The two cities do not compete. They complete a truly global portfolio. They balance each other out perfectly, both operationally and psychologically.
So what does this all mean for the future of global living? I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over, something that builds on everything we've just unpacked today.
Okay.
As remote work becomes completely normalized for the C-suite, as digital nomadism scales up to the ultra-wealthy, and as the global economic center of gravity undeniably continues to shift eastward, we have to ask a very profound question. Will the traditional Western anchor, city places like London, New York, or Paris, become entirely obsolete for the modern expatriate?
It's an incredibly provocative thought. If you can achieve higher lifestyle value, better daily service, equivalent or superior healthcare, and strategic global access without the massive tax burdens and crumbling infrastructure of some Western cities, the calculus changes entirely.
Exactly. If Dubai and Bangkok can jointly provide the ultimate frictionless blend of business dominance, lifestyle luxury, world-class healthcare, and family infrastructure, are we witnessing the permanent eastward shift of the global citizen's ideal real estate portfolio?
I think we might be.
Think about how we started this deep dive. We talked about how relocation used to be a breakup. You had to choose. But today, the most strategic players aren't choosing between the old world and the new world.
No, they are building an entirely new map.
Exactly. They're keeping the engine running hot in the Middle East, and they are enjoying the view from the executive lounge in Southeast Asia.
It is a masterful strategic evolution of how to live and invest globally.
And that is the absolute beauty of stepping back and looking at the whole board. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.